Good morning, everyone. My name is Manuja Pandey, and today I'm here to present my project for ENG 445 Literature and the Individual. The novel I chose to explore is We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. It's a haunting, atmospheric narrative that masterfully examines psychological trauma, fear of society, and the emotional consequences of isolation. Over the next few minutes, I'll take you through the novel's structure, characters, themes, and the insights it left me with. We Have Always Lived in the Castle was published in 1962 and is widely regarded as Shirley Jackson's finest novel. It was her last completed work before her death and has since become a staple of modern American Gothic fiction. Though it didn't achieve instant mainstream success, it gradually gained a cult following for its airy tone and psychological complexity. In 2018, it was even adapted into a film which brought renewed interest in the story. The novel continues to be celebrated for its unique style, unreliable narration, and themes of alienation. Shirley Jackson was an American writer best known for her ability to disturb and provoke through the mundane. Born in 1916, she published many works of fiction, most notably The Lottery and The Haunting of Hill House. Jackson's writing often centered around women navigating psychological stress and societal judgment. Her brilliance lay in revealing the hidden tensions beneath ordinary lives. In this novel, We Have Always Lived in the Castle, she distilled all her signature themes into a slim but unforgettable novel. So, the first part of the story starts with a strange, isolated world. The story begins with Mary Cat Blackwood narrating her life in near complete isolation. She lives with her sister Constance and Uncle Julian in a secluded estate shunned by villagers due to a dark past. Most of the Blackwood family was mysteriously poisoned. This part introduces Mary Cat's routine based life, her magical thinking, and the odd rituals she performs to keep their world in balance. This part teaches us how people cope with trauma through ritual, control, and detachment. Mary Cat's worldview is shaped by fear and loss. Isolation becomes their safe haven, but it is also their poison as well. The part two comes with the outside invaders. When Charles, a long lost cousin, arrives, their fragile peace begins to unravel. He becomes a symbol of the outside world, demanding access, demanding control, and normalcy. While Constance is tempted to reconnect with the world, Mary Cat sees Charles as a threat and becomes increasingly disturbed. This section reflects the tension between safety and change. Sometimes healing from trauma isn't about reintegration, but about respecting someone's boundaries. Charles represents how society often tries to fix people without understanding them. Now, part 3 brings destruction and collapse. Mary Cat, driven by desperation and fear of losing her sisters, sets the house on fire. The villagers rush in, not to help, but to destroy what's left. They vandalize the home and mock the sisters. Uncle Julian dies shortly after. The moment is violent, not because of gore, but because of the sheer cruelty and neglect. This part is a dark mirror to real life, showing how communities can be quick to ostracize and harm those who don't fit in. Jackson's criticism of mob mentality is subtle but razor sharp. It's about how easily we dehumanize others. Now, the last part of the novel brings a new secluded life for the two sisters. With everything lost, the sisters retreat further into themselves. They board up the ruins and cut off all contact with the outside world. Ironically, the villagers begin to pity them, leaving food at their doorstep. Mary Cat and her sister, now inseparable, live in their own world, free from judgment but also from connection. This conclusion is both tragic and peaceful. It forces us to rethink what healing and happiness should actually look like. For the Blackwood sisters, retreat is survival. The novel suggests that for some, freedom lies not in rejoicing the society, but in reclaiming their own space, however small or unconventional. Now, we would highlight the two major themes in this novel. The first one being psychological trauma and the desire for control. Melcat's entire personality is shaped by past trauma. Her obsessive rituals and delusions are, are her way of controlling a world that had once hurt her. Jackson doesn't portray this as merely madness. It's layered, it's tragic, and it's obviously deeply human. We see how grief and guilt manifest in strange behaviors of people and how they become the language of survival as well. The next theme focuses upon social alienation and fear of the other. Jackson critiques how society fears what it doesn't understand. The sisters are viewed as dangerous or maybe freakish, not because of facts, but due to gossip, due to superstition. Their difference becomes their curse. The novel's real horror isn't in ghost or poison, but in how ordinary people can isolate themselves and destroy those who refuse to confront. So, the reason I chose this novel was that it stood apart from everything else I have read before. It didn't rely on plot twists, it didn't rely on actions, but it still managed to keep me fully engaged. Mary Cat's voice, simultaneously innocent and disturbing, was fascinating. I wanted to explore a story that blurred the lines between reality and delusion and that questioned whether society is always right in deciding who belongs to it and who doesn't. My learnings through this novel: resilience, alienation, and control. One of the most profound lessons from this novel is that survival does not always look heroic. Mary Cat and her sister survive not by overcoming trauma in a very traditional sense, but by creating a new world where they actually feel safe. Their resilience is very quiet, their resilience is very unusual, and also it is very, very deeply emotional. Even after losing their family, their reputation, and their home, they rebuild their lives in their own way. Mericat's need for control through rituals, hiding objects, and mental games is a powerful reflection of how trauma often leads people to create patterns and logic where none exists. These actions may seem irrational to others, but they are lifelines for someone trying to hold their reality together. Jackson shows us that control is a psychological shield, not always a sign of delusion. The novel paints a brutal picture of how society treats those who live outside its norms, whether it's due to mental illness or unconventional behavior or simple differences. The alienation of the Blackwood family reflects real societal patterns. It makes us ask difficult questions. How do we treat outsiders? Are we empathetic or do we dehumanize them just because they are different? Each of these lessons lingers long after the book is closed. The story may be a gothic fiction, but the emotions it evokes loneliness, fear, loyalty, and guilt are intensely real. In conclusion, we have always lived in the castle is way more than just a psychological mystery. It is a quiet but powerful commentary on fear, family, and society. Shirley Jackson uses sparse prose and airy calm to create a story that never shouts but always chills. It leaves us with uncomfortable questions and lingering emotions. For me, it redefined what literature could do. It doesn't need to be loud, it doesn't need to be dramatic, but it has to be deeply moving. Thank you for listening to this presentation. This novel, though short and deceptively simple, taught me how deeply literature can explore the human mind. I hope I was able to convey just a part of that depth to you today. Thank you.